Oh, this is a different format.
Mayor, we're live.
Thank you. Where's Casey? I don't know. I saw him at home. I guess he forgot. Maybe he's just wanting to know. We were just saying that. I said, I saw him at home, but I guess he forgot. Because it was on everybody's calendar, though. Maybe he couldn't come.
He works from home on Mondays, doesn't he? He could.
It was on. But I think I did. Yeah. Okay, it's 6. Good evening and welcome to the City of Montgomery workshop meeting for June 9th, 2025. I'd like to bring this meeting to order. We have a quorum. We are missing Councilmember Casey Olson for the record. With that, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag and then the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Right. Did not receive any requests to speak for the public forum, so we'll move right along to the workshop agenda. Item number 3 on your agenda is discussion regarding FY 2026 annual budget by department. I'm looking at the book of the draft budget. It looks like the administration is the first department. Chief, will you be presenting, or Mary Ann, will you be presenting?
I'll give a little bit of an introduction, and then we'll kind of go through. I think Ruby will have most of what you will be looking at in the administration.
Cool.
Just a couple of reminders. We're only looking at expenses tonight, and we, while there are wages and that information in there, they are just merely placeholders at this point. So they're exactly what is in this current fiscal year. We just roll that over to give us a placeholder. So we at least have something in there. Primarily the focus this evening will be on the far right-hand side, that change from FY25. What that means is it is the difference between the FY26 request number 1 and the adopted budget for FY25. So that'll be the primary focus this evening on things that have a increase or a decrease in those items. And again, this is a working document, so these numbers, of course, are subject to change, but this is for us to have our discussion with you about wants, needs, wishes, all of the above.
So what I'm seeing here is in FY25 we adopted $664,620 for wages, and the request is to request the same amount for next year. Am I reading that correctly? Sorry, this is a new format.
Right, so it's slightly new, although if you look at your numbers from last year, it will be in line with that. It doesn't mean that we're going to hold steady at that 664. It just means that that is our placeholder right now.
But that's what that means. Okay, so those would be the numbers. The FY26 would be the newly requested amount for budget.
So the FY26 request number 1,
yep.
That is based on the department heads giving their input at this point.
Okay.
So this is kind of the first round of requests that we're bringing to you this evening. Of course, there's been a lot of back and forth and,
sure.
and that kind of thing, but this is considered request 1 that you are looking at this evening. Does that help?
Yep. And so the thing that we really need to look at is on the far right for the change in the percentages.
Yes, I think you'll get the most information there. Will be why we're recommending an increase or a decrease in some of those lines, the justification behind that. questions along the way, I can certainly try to look things up for you if you have anything specific.
And we take these books home, or we have to leave them
You
here?
are welcome to take the books home with you.
Okay.
We will provide inserts for the next workshop at the time of the workshop.
So Mary Ann, on item 20, the records retention, we adopted 1,500, but now we're asking for next year to be nearly 40,000. What's the difference and what are we doing different?
Did you ask for line 20?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we going that far down already?
Okay.
Well, everything is just, I was just looking at,
We're
like,
okay
I was
with,
looking at everything that hadn't changed, so
And that
most
was
of it
changed-
goes
that
down,
was changed
except for
quite
the
a bit.
legal fees, and then down there, that was a 2,500, 47%
well, I
change.
want to know what that DIV, oh, I said I wouldn't ask any questions, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, you can.
Sorry. Yeah, so that's a calculation. It basically is a null calculation. There isn't anything for it to calculate against. So it just returns that. It's a formula and that's
Okay.
it. I just left it there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what that means. It can't divide.
Well, can we go back, can we go back to legal fees? What's the,
You absolutely can. Do you want to go ahead and take that, please?
So for legal fees, I have two breakdowns on that total of the 225,000. I've got Johnson Petrov listed at 150,000 because last year we were billed 150,000, and then Parson, McIntyre, McCleary, I have them as 75,000 for the two attorneys that are billing us right now. So that comes out to a 225. That's where that increase is. And last year we went over budget, and I want to make sure that you're seeing the true number of what we're anticipating to be on the books for this next fiscal year.
And I can tell you that Parsons is going to be more than that. It's already more than that based on an email that I
What are
saw.
you thinking might need to move that to another, to make it up to 150?
I believe we've paid them 135 so far,
Okay,
134 and change to be exact. Ish. So probably 150 is what I would say.
okay, so
But
you
you
understand that that's
comfortable?
going to move that line item up to 300,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I think that's, for budgeting sake, I think that's right. It gives us a
I
cushion.
understand that. And if we look at, does that answer your question?
yes, thank you.
And if we go down and we look at line 11, which is copier fax machine. That's just our fees for our copier fax. I don't have any breakdown on that. That's just our normal increase.
It's negligible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that.
And then if we get to line 20 for records management retention. Okay, so that is all for RCI, which is our records management company that we use to maintain our records destruction program. I have two additional quotes in this that make up a bulk of where this income is coming, or this expense is coming from. We are looking at having a move in the next year for City Hall, and we have a lot of records on file, and I would like to move the city into a more paperless platform, and we have our Laserfish program. Records, RCI management can come in, and all the records that are in the administration side over across from my hall, or across the hallway from my office, they quoted about $16,000 to come in and do a scanning of all of those documents so that they can be imported into Laserfish, and then we can get rid of the hard copies, most of the hard copies. And then in Tilly's office, we have another segment of documents and plans, development documentation, and that's estimated at about $18,100 for that project. So I have them broken down because I knew that it was going to be really expensive. And what I'm looking at trying to do is decrease the amount of stuff that we're having to take with us when we go, and start moving this stuff paperless and having it in our permanent electronic record system that we have, that we pay for. Then we have our normal annual cloud fee of $600 through RCI, so we can access all the records of the stuff that we have. For proof of records destruction, it's showing us what boxes and labeling and everything that they've already done for us. So they have a portal for us to be able to access, and that's what that's for. And then I'm asking for $5,000 for records retention and shredding. We have about 100 to 120 boxes a year that we generate in boxes, and they come in, we contract with them to come in and put the labeling on, identify what the records management for the TESLAC records coding is, and they put when they need to come in to destroy. So they come in, they physically put their hands on everything that's in our vault, and they go through it and label it and maintain it for us. And then when they're done with that, then they identify what items need to be destroyed, and they do that based off of state standards, and they give us the proof of destruction. So it's a maintenance program, and with me having gone through and audited how many boxes that we're generating and how much we're destroying that needs to be done per year, legally, I'm looking at about $5,000.
You actually only have 1,500 in that line right now. So you're asking to take that up beyond what we're showing tonight.
How long do we have to, or how long are we required to keep paper records?
It depends on the item. So municipal court's going to be different than PD versus administration. It could be anything. I want to say like bank statements are going to be different than an application for an employee. That's an employment application that we didn't select for hiring. Those all have different variations, anywhere from 90 days to 5 to years to permanent, depending on the document.
So the people that come in and tag the boxes, can they help with determining whether or not we need to keep something or not?
Yes. Yes,
They are the people that do.
And then when it's shredded, we have a record of what was shredded?
Yes.
Is that right?
And that everything that the RCI company does meets state requirements to comply with TESLAC.
What is number 23 says record shredding? It went from 1,000 to 2,000. Is that not included in that 5 that you're talking about? Or is this?
So that record shredding is something different. So I have 2 things on that one. Iron Mountain is our company that we use. They come in quarterly and they pick up our miscellaneous stuff that we're shredding on a normal basis. That we have a drop box, a generalized drop box for things that are duplicates and stuff that we don't put in the trash can. We have them come in and pick up for shred. And that's listed at $1,200. And then the hard drive shredding is $800 because it's about $10, 10 minimum 20 per hard drive to do shredding, and we have to have proof of that because we can't just throw our hard drives away, especially for stuff that has, for T-hole, things like that. We have compliance that we have to meet for the destruction of the hard drives. And I need a company to come in and do that, and they're going to, RCI, by the way, does do that, and when we schedule them to come in and do our shredding, I found that out after I put in an $800 quote, so I would probably be able to bring this down because they can just charge us $10 along with, at the time they come by to pick up their, the other boxes and stuff that they're picking up to shred. But at the time, I put $800 because I wasn't sure what it was going to cost for an individual company, a separate company, to come in and do it. Because they're going to charge for delivery, to come by and pick up and shred. But they do give records destruction on the hard drives as well. And we are looking at doing, implementing for the laptops and tablets to recycle out the ones that you currently have with new ones for employees and stuff across the board. So we're looking at doing a staggered rotation in and out. And as we're doing that, we're going to have to get rid of the hard drives.
If I could interrupt, to answer further on that question, the other item that's in record shredding is Iron Mountain, which is the shred bins we have.
Right.
So this is separate from the whole record retention piece and destruction of records. It's kind of, that's like the mass piece of it. This is just kind of the more routine nature under record shredding.
So 7,000 for the year for record shredding is what we're going to present. Because she's saying 5,000.
5,000 is part of the
department.
39,700.
And it is. The
And-
5,000 is
and
in
then
that 39,700.
2,000.
And then 2,000 on top
For
of the
Iron Mountain.
Right. The Iron Mountain, that contract or that agreement, they pick up quarterly.
Right.
It's running about $1,200 a year for that
So I want to go back to item 20 real fast. I know that there has been discrepancy in record retention here in the last few years. And I know that what we have online, or let's say on hard drives, is different than what we have in paper form. I am IT forward and I believe it, but having records, the shift, it scares me we're going to lose things. And if we had not had the hard record, we would not have intel that we have, right? So, and I get it that they're going to do, but how can we be, and I know probably it's partly knowing we can go and get our hands on something versus looking it up on the computer, and I believe in these professionals and they'll probably do it right. However, it scares me to death.
In regards to, once they do all the scanning of all the documentation and we import it into Laserfish, I have control over Laserfish and not allowing a single user to delete a single item out of there.
But I want to make sure that every piece of information gets put in there because what we have on hard drives here, on some people's hard drives here, is different than what we have in paper form.
And I'm aware of it.
If it's not in the hard drive, then we can go and look in the paper form and find, hopefully, potentially some answers. And going in a recordless, paperless environment, if Laserfish doesn't think that this is important, and then it gets destroyed, and then a year later we go, oh shoot, we had that, but we didn't think that that was important.
What
you're asking is,
that won't happen. The fear that you're having, I understand, because I've been looking through stuff, some of the things that are lost. I know we got some files missing and things of that nature. This will concrete that, make sure that doesn't happen. Again, even if we lose the file, we'll still have it in Laserfish. We won't have, and everybody won't have access to that stuff.
So let's go ahead. So we have 7 personnel files missing, okay? So if you give Laserfish the files, how do they know we have 7 missing? Now, optics, I can see 7 are missing, but they only know what we tell them to scan. I guess what my point is too is if we have nefarious people back in this building and they take advantage of not having the paper in this building. And I don't think that we'll get in a reckless manner as we've been over the last 5 years, but in the event.
Well, that's what's missing, are the entire file.
I know,
So that's
I understand. So, but RCI doesn't know that is missing unless there's a question about it. Like, they don't know, you've got 50 employees, you should have 50 files for us to scan. Oh, 3 left? I mean, they don't know that. We didn't know until we went looking in November.
Yeah, however, when they come in, I mean, those files that are missing, they're only gonna start with what we've got now, what we've been doing with those records.
So you're saying that everything we have now there will be a soft copy record of it, and there would be no chance of somebody deleting the soft copy record of that.
Right, because nobody, I mean, we've looked high and low for those 7 files, and even the other files that are missing. And they're just not there. So if somebody comes in, we're not gonna be able to give them those files anyway, or we're not gonna be able to say, these 7 files are lost, and this is what was in them, because we don't know what was in them.
but I understand what Sarah's saying. She's wanting assurance
Well,
that what we have now.
In regards to the
And
personnel.
everything, but I'm just saying, we are missing some very important files. It does not put us in a good position. And in the future, RCI, if they don't know that they need that file, they don't know that they need that file. And to do away with our paper filing system, that's what's saved our rear end right now.
Now, is there a way to compare
Personnel files, I'm not gonna get rid of the hard copies of those.
Okay.
some of the,
There's gonna be a digital copy of it in addition to the hard copy on the personnel.
what about the files that are in hard drives that we don't have paper copies of? How do we know that?
And
Because if you're looking at-
I have not launched it yet. I was waiting for the new city administrator to talk to him about moving forward with everybody moving into the Laserfish and getting everything off the servers, because we haven't gotten to it yet, but we need new servers, and we're looking at $20,000+ for it, and we can get off of the server and go to some, we can still have our stationary server here, but we can go smaller in exchange for getting everything off of the server and moving it into Laserfish and using the digital platform that is in the cloud that we're paying for. So we'll get to it.
Well, getting along with what the mayor's saying, I think we got to look at it both ways. We know that there's some hard copy files missing.
A boatload.
Well, okay, yeah, I was just saying, but the other thing too is do we have stuff in the hard drives that we don't have hard copies of, or should have?
Yes, well, that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
if it hadn't been for the hard copy, we wouldn't have known. If it hadn't been for the soft copy, because we didn't have the hard copy, like, and granted, the last 5 years, we've been running not efficiently, and so I think it will be better in the future. However, that's my fear, is without those hard copies, we wouldn't know what we know, something.
I don't think we would have known had we not requested those files. Not requested to look at all those files. And then that's how we actually found out.
I know, it was all accidental because they were able to cover their tracks until they weren't. But,
Well, one flip side of that is if they would have been scanned in the Laserfish way back then,
Yes.
it wouldn't be missing right now.
Right.
unless wherever they took those boxes and RCI doesn't know that they were supposed to scan those in. Do you see what I'm saying?
But I know what Mike's saying too.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah, I think
my,
that's two different things, I mean, but just the protection of the file, like, if they would have had those files already and scanned them in, even if the paper ones would have come up missing.
So you think the RCI would be part of the management piece of making sure that I have A through Z in 2024?
And when we were all missing files, the files that were missing back here that Mary Ann, that we were looking for as well, we would not have known that had it not been. when
For that
they
one
came in to
piece,
Do the
yeah.
audit, that those things were there. So we wouldn't have known that they were missing before that.
You know, I could ask
I want them to find
RCI to just do the scan and bring the documents back to us, and that way they scan.
And maybe we hold on to the documents for 3 years? I don't know. I'm having heartburn with the whole, like, going all online. I'm just, clearly. Because,
I mean, what I'm saying is they can bring back the hard copies and we can have our hard copies.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can hold the hard copies for 3 years, the retention period. So we can say, okay, we are holding these for 3 years until we're satisfied knowing that there's not been nefarious things happening, and then we can have them destroy them in this, like, hold them on hand or something.
Then you could actually have a room over in the other building.
Yeah.
to store those.
once it's been filed and scanned and everything, is there a process that any one person can come in and delete what's been scanned?
No, because I can set the parameters to prevent anyone from being able to delete anything out, and there's a foot trail of everyone who looks and clicks on anything.
That's what I was gonna say, is there a footprint of who goes in
Yeah.
and looks at it also? Okay. Wasn't sure about that.
Sorry, I'm trying to tread lightly, but at the same time, I think you know where I'm coming from.
I have another concern. When I was used to looking up history of the company and trying to follow the agendas and stuff online to kind of familiarize myself with what was being passed and what wasn't being passed, what I thought was odd was that we had papers in there where we didn't have all the signatures. So I'm wondering why we have papers in old records without signatures. Like, we're the ones we actually sign, and shouldn't they be the one that we see when we're looking up history?
I have seen that.
On more than one.
Moving on.
I was gonna say, let's move on.
That is a legal matter for us.
But it's also what we can set it, and I do think like a 3-year retention would be great with putting our hands on paper.
I'm a paper girl, so I believe in the paper. I don't know nothing about a cloud. I don't know nothing about
I just want backup.
over here laserfish and all of that. So you hand me a piece of paper, I'm good.
All right, if we jump to line 22, we have a negative 60%. The reason for that going down is because we are getting into the final stages of KKC. And so right now for the $94,000 request, it's for $75,000 for KKC, $4,625 for grant works, and I have it in there earmarked $15,000 for something like to be determined, because this is still a ballpark, and I'm not sure if there's an estimate right now. I'm not sure if we're gonna have something else or if I've missed something else right now while I'm still going through and trying to familiarize myself with everything that's in that line item.
So we have, did MEDC pay for Arunda for the downtown?
Ardura?
Adura. It used to be Gunda, that's all so I married the two terribly. That kind of.
Took over goodness.
Yes, I know, I married the two. So, but MEDC paid for that, or did council pay for that? Since we paid, yeah, that's what I'm saying, just in case, because we're gonna start using them again, and I don't know how much we have.
Yeah, Marion can probably speak more accurately on that. It has been an expense that MEDC.
Okay, all right, just making sure, okay.
So that's where that decrease in that request has come in. We've already talked about line item 23. Line item 26 for election. This last year, we had 2 elections in there for a regular election and a special election, and done a 50% decrease to bring it down to just a regular election. Unless you guys know something I don't know, I'm thinking just the regular May election. So 30,000 on that.
That's fine.
Computer technology, line 28. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so I am still working on this line item. And OCS just got me a breakdown of everything that they're billing us for. I've been auditing OCS, and I have been down at the moment for 13,000, archive social for 2,500, Unicode code hosting. That's 1,400, but I'm about to cancel that because we've gone to Encode Plus. So that's coming off. FCCI.
Not to be confused with Encode, it's N-code, and that's that KKC partnership.
Yes. And then, so there's been some changes since this was submitted.
Clear as mud. Yeah.
Laserfish Cloud is 7,500. OptiQuest Internet Services is 7,000. Unicode Meeting, which is our agenda management program, is 2,500. Our city website is 3,600. And Tyler Tech, which is our financial software, is 26,500. So that's what is making up the 122,950. And wait, no, we're not done. And there's more. I have on here computer replacement program. I put an earmark of 7,000 because we need to replace the boards and commissions tablets and computers, and that's to start the cycle out, to start getting us on like a 3 or maybe a 4-year rotation. I can tell you that since I've been here, we have had at least a dozen that we've been pulling out of the stock supply, and they've been breaking down and bringing them back. And we've since gotten rid, we have not a single extra one in hand. If one of your devices go out between now and then, we have nothing else to give because they were all decommissioned and they're done. So it's time to start updating. So I put an earmark in for that. Server replacement, I got a quote of 20,200, and I'm thinking that with communication with council, communication with the new city administrator, talking about possibly trying to reduce the size of our server and get off site hosted, like our shared drive stuff, and move everything into Laserfish, and every person who needs to have access to what we would have in the shared drive could have access to Laserfish, because we have 100 users and capabilities, and each one can have their own individual control set up for different controls, and we don't want one person to see financials, then they would be restricted from that. If you don't want actually everybody set up to not see HR. So that we can control the parameters of that software program.
How much did you say we're paying OCS? I'm sorry.
13,000 just for city administration. That doesn't include, is that correct, Mary Ann? Not including?
Correct. It doesn't include the PD's contract with them, and does not include the portion that gets assigned to court. Public Works, and,
Okay, that's fine. You said the city website was 3,600 and the administration pays for that and not MEDC. And I think I heard Stephanie correctly. Our website looks terrible. It used to look in ship shape and now it looks terrible. That she's a possibility of wanting to change vendors, providers, hosters, whatever that word is. If that still would come out of this fund and not MEDC fund?
For the tourism one, MEDC could pay for that, but for the city, general city
Yeah.
website, that would need to come out of this budget.
I think she was looking at the general city, like, was it you and I? No, or yeah, looking at Navasota and how great their website is. And I think we could get something similar to that. That it's easier to fix on the back end and add things to than what we're paying today. Anyway, I just didn't know if this was MEDC or if this was us, administration. Okay.
Okay, so ClearGov, I have it listed at 18,000. Marion, did that include us doing that,
it does not
Capital
include,
improvement,
it
CIP?
does not include adding CIP.
did you ever get a quote on that yet?
I have not.
Okay.
This includes the budget platform, personnel budgeting, and the digital budget work that will be rolling out after we approve the FY26.
And then-
Those are the components that are in this now.
And then the last one in this line item is that N-code plus ENCODE plus, and that's 13,750. And Marion, did we talk about a portion of that coming out of MEDC?
Was discussed, I don't know. There was an idea last year that the GIS portion of ENCODE potentially falling onto the MEDC side, since it is concerning development and trying to attract businesses and so forth. So I don't know if it would be a full amount. I don't know if it's a portion, a cost share. That piece of this alone is about $11,000. So I'm not sure, but right now the full 13,750 is in here.
I have a question about the need for a server. Mary Ann, I thought we already approved to getting new software that would be cloud-based and not server-based.
Correct. So what she mentioned in here for the Tyler technology piece, that is the cost for the cloud next budget year.
20,000, okay.
Yes. That's the portion, the portion that sits fully on administration is the accounts payable, the payroll module, so all the financials. It does not include the pieces for utility billing. That falls under the utility department. It does not cover anything for court. That, of course, would fall into court. So this is just the module that is what we consider administration, which is those overarching pieces. So administration bears the full brunt of that cost, even though we're providing services to all those other departments, but administration, right, we put the cost on that.
But is our goal to go to the cloud system instead of having our servers?
So this is including the transition to the cloud, and as such, when Ruby was talking about being able to potentially reduce the cost on our server, that's a part of the more things that we can take off of our server needs and put that into the cloud-based, or that frees up our ability to potentially spend significantly less than 20 grand on server replacement that has a life of 3 to 5 years.
And right now, our current server is a 2013 and a 2018 model. So we are,
Ouch.
yes.
Yeah, borrowed time.
Yes.
It's like dial-up.
Yes. And unfortunately, we can't 100% get away from having a site server. We have to have it for some things, but primarily everything with new technology since COVID is moving to the cloud-based. We can start transitioning over that and start trying to cut back when we do the new server on a smaller scale and try to cut some of the cost.
Did that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, community relations, item 36, community relations. I have this as chamber stuff, and the breakdown would be annual membership at $4,000, annual banquet at $1,500, the monthly meetings up to $500 and then miscellaneous community relations at $500 is the category for $6,500 for that.
So part of that money is fees for being on, yeah, huh?
Chamber member.
Yeah, chamber, okay.
Yes. And then line item 30 and 39 are insurance, liability, and property. That's kind of self-explanatory. And then employee appreciation, line 41. I have requested for an extra $1,000 to go into the line item so that way I can start doing more things for the employees on a quarterly basis. And including doing the annual awards and plaques and certificates, that kind of stuff. I believe that's it for me, unless you guys have any further questions.
There are a couple more items under admin that fall underneath me at the current time. Would be line 44 and line 45 having to do with those 380 reimbursements. The sales tax reimbursement includes Kroger, the shops at Montgomery, and an estimate for Home Depot. This would be the first year that we would have reimbursement to Home Depot under this agreement, under their agreement. So that's what is accounting for that increase there. Under the 380 ad valorem tax rebate, we have one of the ad valorem rebates that we have had in the past will be no longer. So this will just be on Kroger at this point.
Kroger's the only one
We
at
do
this
not
point.
have anything calculated into any of these rebates for PCS because we don't anticipate that that will be triggered in 26. That trigger will happen for 27's budget.
So right now, all we have is just Kroger.
Under
ad valorem.
Under the ad valorem, yes.
That's right.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's good.
and this is gonna trigger on BCS till they sell something, till they get it.
Right. Yeah, there's some things that have to. be
Quick,
taken
Stan,
care
you're
of.
quick.
And then there was one other line item that is not reflected on tonight's report for additional audio-visual services for in this group. Which we can maybe expand on that a little bit, but I did want to make sure.
Before you do that, does anybody up here ever go back and watch the videos? And listen to
Yes.
them?
Yes.
And with a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being outstanding, what do you rate your experience?
2.
2. Okay, we're on the same page.
Okay, so, good news, bad news. I had an audio video company come in here today to help me to be able to get this up and going. It is done. Our system is done. We need a new one like yesterday. And the live stream is not communicating to our cameras. And like I said, I had a company come in to help me just piggyback for the next couple days because we have 3 meetings this week back to back. And so the system's on, it's not getting turned off. And hope that it stays on and doesn't crash between now and then, but our live stream is done. It's not communicating to the system with the cameras. That is not even a part of this right now because that's going to have to hit this budget right now that we're in. However, with this being antiquated at this point, because the system that we're on, even though this was done in 2021, our live stream system is become obsolete. And I'm looking to see if we could add a AV line for council chambers of about $8,000. So if our microphone that sits in front of Miss Mary Ann is a $15,000 to $2,000 device, if one of your microphones go out in front of you, we have to have some money to have for someone to come in and replace those devices. And anything having to do with technology in this room is not cheap, price-wise. And I really would recommend that we consider having a line item for that kind of funding. Right now, I have had the AV company help me try to get the clarity in the system, so when you're playing back the recordings right now, there's still a little hum in it. I'm aware of it, I'm working on it. But also, in addition to that, we're looking at getting a microphone, an aerial microphone in the audience area that would pick up these meetings right here, so the audience can actually hear the people speaking in the room that aren't in front of, sitting right in your chairs, because you guys are the only ones that have microphones over there where you're at, and then the one that's in front of Miss Mary Ann. So we need to have some kind of line item to be able to get this in a better streamline.
And anything that we invest in, we can take with us to the new place,
I
correct?
could
That
say,
is correct.
is there some way we can take it,
Yes.
transport it to them? Yeah.
And
So-
what was that total?
I'm asking for 8,000 as to just be a starter somewhere to see what we end up with. But I figure when we go to the new place, we're gonna have some new stuff. But if we get something now, like we need the new live stream platform, we'll be taking that with us. But I assume that we're gonna have to wire that location, install the cameras, so, but right now, the cameras that we have are good, they're just not communicating with our device anymore.
So streaming's not available as of right now?
No, it is.
It is.
She's got it figured out
Oh, okay.
for this week, because every 3
What
meetings.
about renting something? What about renting some equipment until we move to the new place?
Well, the company came today to come and bring in extra cameras and give us a piggyback just till we could get something new, but regardless, if we waited till then, the device is obsolete, it's not working. So we could rent it, but it's gonna cost more in the long
By the
run.
time, yeah, you rent it, you might as well bought it.
I honestly, I don't even know of any company that rents those.
Companies rent that stuff.
That's a good, I'll have to look into that.
They put on all kinds of events all over the world.
Yeah.
Somebody sets it up.
Yeah.
So that was the other, yeah, thank you, Mary.
We have meetings in here every week, so. Okay. Next is general fund police.
Chief, you're on deck.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or is Mr. Lieutenant Belmore's going to give it?
Mayor, unless you're, anything just sticks out at you, what you can see on here is that, if you look to the end where it says CCPD, a lot of the things that we're moving to that CCPD budget, right now, it's estimated that we've taken probably about $235,000 off and back to the general fund. That's going back to the general fund, and that's coming out of, will be coming out of CCPD budget. So a lot of those large and expensive items that we normally go like our reoccurring for our body worn cameras, which is an up cost of $60,000. The flock camera, $25,000. Auto repairs, which went up to about, and we'll be increasing to about, well, we won't increase, about $35,000. But we've moved a lot of stuff to CCPD, so the general fund will net back about 100, and we're gonna look at it some more, see if we can get it to about 300,000, but right now it's at about 235,000.
And Chief, you're not adding any new officers this coming year?
Not adding any new officers this coming year, don't have anywhere to put them at.
How many officers do we have now?
We've got 16. So what we would do, And we'll look at that as we get ready to make a move, and that'll be somewhere into the next budget. Then we'll have to look at, like we talked about the other night, we'll have to look at some PSOs, which are your judges. We'll have to look at some assistants. We may be looking at another code enforcement officer. We've got to talk about that some more. We got to take a look, because with, we'll have to look at that when the new administrator comes in, because of what Tilly's doing right now, she's extremely busy with the planning and zoning. So we're gonna see where the new administrator sees this going to, and then we'll look at, possibly another code enforcement person. But our cars, we took our cars, which is probably gonna be about $120,000. That's been moved to CCPD as well. So that should take off the,
There's a lot going to CCPD, Chief.
yeah, that's, like I said, right now, it's at about $230-something thousand now. And as we keep looking at it, we'll try to get to probably about $300,000.
On line 41, computer equipment, it has more than doubled. What is that for? Is that for the new Spillman?
Where are we at?
Or not software? 41.
It's actually reduced by 50%.
Oh, sorry, I had them transposed. My bad.
That's all right. One thing that I did want to mention is when you see line 39 for police cars, as Chief just indicated, we're moving the lease payment over to CCPD. But in this upcoming year, PD is proposing 4 new vehicles under that lease, with 3 of those being replacements. So there would be 3 units that would be sold off, and the new leases plus the existing leases with Enterprise will all fall under CCPD's budget. And the amount of the $100,000 that you see in the general fund is the upfitting for those 4 vehicles. So that's what you're seeing here. So police cars did totally go away. It's just what that expense is, but the lease payment itself is on the CCPD, and that's the larger payment.
And didn't we agree?
That's one of the things that we're looking at as well. We're trying to get some good numbers on that upfitting. If we get some good numbers on that upfitting, we can maybe move that over as well. And we need to get some good numbers on the cost of our upfitting of the vehicles. Because last year it cost us about $40,000 for each car, if not more. So if we get a better number, we've talked to our guy, try to get a better number on the upfitting, and seeing if there's some things that we can use that we already have over in our storage for the new vehicles, without having to buy those things, to purchase those things from somewhere else. But the problem is, every time they make a car, they do something different with it. The back strings or the front strings or the inside, something happens. But we are taking a look at that. Hopefully we can move that money over there as well.
So you're saying we're getting 4 new vehicles, we're not replacing anything?
That would include replacing 3. So it would be 4 new leases, but 3 old units would be sold off.
Okay, and then we have to pay to have the equipment in the old units moved to the new units, right?
We have to have that equipment taken out of those cars. Anything that will fit into the new units, that's what we'll use it for. That's what we're trying to keep the cost down.
Every time, these cars are, some of them are 5 years old, and they change the body styles and all the insides, and the equipment doesn't fit inside of it. So he's gonna try to retro and save as much as he can.
But
The
there
new
are things
cars,
like
but-
the radios and some of those things that we can use, the radars and all those things, and we don't have to spend no
Camera.
money on, we
Yeah.
can use those things coming out of the cars.
And when we decided to go to the lease program, was this the turnover rate we were talking about doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we looked at the mileage in the years.
Yeah.
I think what we're going back with them now, we've got 17?
At 219 to 17, and then the 20. No, yours is 19. So
319.
How many miles does yours have on it? Curious.
My car's got like 137,000,
Wow, okay.
but it still runs great.
Yeah.
It's a 5-year lease, but I think when the 5 years are up, we ought to look at it real seriously and see if we really saved any money going to the lease.
Well, they ran the calculations when they first presented this, and it was a huge savings. And that's why we decided to go with the lease program.
Well, I have some concerns about it because, we don't.
You were a yes on the,
I know I
item.
was.
It's, I know what you're saying.
You got to look at it.
I know.
It saved us some money because these
They're not
cars get
assets, like,
higher,
you know.
higher each year.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
ridiculous.
I can remember in 19, it took us like $57,000 to outfit Tahoe. Now, it takes us about $115,000 to outfit. It just gets more. I mean, it's like this police world, they know you can't do without it.
Right.
We put some new radios into this CCPD budget because we've been told that the radios we got, they're not gonna be any good. And so we thought we'd hold on and put some money in to repair those. They said, where you gonna get them repaired? We don't do it anymore. And so it's like
they end of life everything every 5 years, so, or 3 to 5 years, so it forces you to rotate and move forward.
Does the lease program take care of regular maintenance on the vehicles?
Does a better job for Mike than it does for us. Because,
So I can say it does not for the police units, just because of the high usage, the wear and tear on those vehicles. But there is a maintenance program that we are signed up for with the public works vehicles, so they are on that plan. We do get to take advantage of the discount for maintenance by using one of the providers that has the agreement with Enterprise. And so we're able to take advantage of the discount program because we're a part of this lease program.
So what are we expanding in item 31? Community relations.
community relations, we looked at our community relations, that's where we put on our events for the year. Those, last year, I think we had 6,500 in there, and we ended up going over about almost $3,000-4,000. So we just expanded that. But remember now, we expanded that, we also took about $207,000.
What is it relating to?
That's relating to our night out. That relates to when we have our CPD program, our Citizens Police Academy program. Through that program, we bring people in at night, and we bring those people in here about 6 o'clock. So we serve them a light meal when they get here, and then at the end of that, we have our graduation. Our graduation we had last Wednesday, I think. This year we invited back some of our alumni, Ms. Fox, and
No show.
we ended up, so we had,
I know, it was a no-show.
we had dinner, we had some awards, so we had awards. So it took the price up. When we went up, it took the price up.
But you know what, though, I think it's always offset by the fact of the volunteerism that will accomplish.
Yes.
When you do have that.
It's well worth it.
It's well worth it, it's well worth it.
And then some.
Yeah.
Then
We
the
gave out-
badges you would buy and hand out.
How many graduates did you have this time?
We had 12 this year, and then we actually, we gave out 3 awards for some of our VIPs. And these are the people that come over here. We've got this heavy equipment that we have over here. One of our VIPs takes care of all that equipment for us, make sure it's running right, make sure he does all the maintenances on it.
No cost.
Yeah, he does all the maintenance on it. We gave him an award, a plaque. And our other 2 VIPs, instead of us sending an officer off the street to go take a car to the auto shop, they go over, wait for that car, spend their time, and we don't have to do any transport, we just let them do the transport. So it keeps police on the street, because if we didn't have to, Lieutenant had to.
So actually, it pretty much pays for itself.
Yes.
And Chief, the public safety technology went from 107 to 10,000. We just doing away with it?
Ma'am?
On line 49, the public safety technology was 107 and now we're going to 10,000?
What we did is we combined that with our emergency equipment. And we put that into CCPD,
Okay.
so we just combined that into another, to some of the other services. Because when you're talking about public safety technology, a lot of that has to do with our flock cameras and things of that nature. So we put the money into the CCPD that will take care of those. It's in our equipment, upkeep it. And we also put some of that money into,
So will that become a zero line item in the future then? Phase that piece out, or is that still gonna always have
we
it?
also put some of that into operating supplies.
Okay.
We were able to, we found out that we still had a lot of money in operating supplies. So instead of having that line, we just put some of that stuff into some other things. And that's it.
So operating
Took
supply
that
is
10,000 away.
21.
So this is where we will see Spillman.
Yes.
And this was that whole change from one to the other. We had a large payment, I think, for Spillman in this current year. But will that be the annual amount?
No, that won't be the annual amount. The annual amount for the Spillman, I think it's like $7,000.
So we want to look at that, Chief, because that is where that public safety technology is where that would go.
Yeah, it's over in CCPD, so we'll take a look at that, see where it's going.
Okay. So that could potentially be 17,000?
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts?
Oh, the travel, okay. The travel and never mind.
Travel and
I
training?
went to CCPD, okay. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Okay, all right. Next up, Mike McElroy, Public Works.
All right. It's actually really simple this year. I guess I'll start out by saying the Chiefs saved 200 and something thousand, so I'm gonna see if I can get it from you. Don't have a lot of changes. First off, on the wages line item, so that will be updated in the near future. We are gonna add, well, if you grant us a new position, we do want to add a crew leader position.
Who?
Right now, we have 2 crew leaders and we have 3 maintenance techs. This would get us where we have 3 two-man crews instead of one lone guy by himself. Good news is we already have a truck for it. So with the purchase of the truck last year, what we did, we already have a crew truck for this position because there's already one guy in there by now. So this would just add a crew leader, and that's what we feel like we're still lacking. Rest of this page is pretty cut and dry. The drop in building repairs at City Hall is because we put in extra money this year to have the exterior painted. I'll say I'm kind of purposely dragging my feet on that to see what's going to play out here. I don't know if we need to spend the money to have it painted, so may not even spend that money. parks maintenance, so you'll see 4 line items in a row that have gone up 100%. So if you remember 3 years ago, those numbers were actually 25,000 each. We had some major cuts that year, we took them down to 10, like to get them, back up. You can see we're over. The numbers today are actually closer to, at Memory Park, we're already over the 10,000. We haven't paid the bill yet, but repairs to the fountain that we've had to do out there, we're over 10,000 already. What we wanted y'all to see this in this format that it is now, but one thing that we would like to change for this year is to combine these 4 line items into one parks maintenance line item. Instead of having 4 separate ones for each individual park, sometimes one of the parks has more needs than the other. This keeps us from being restricted to set them out at one park and go more. Because what we end up doing is using more anyway and just making sure we don't use as much in another park. So it's the same thing.
But the public likes to see it split so that they know that council has designated X amount of dollars for Homecoming Park or Cedar Break Park. So if we can show it somewheres, I'm okay with that. But if you combine it all and it's just a park maintenance, I'm not comfortable with that.
So that might be resolved in this digital budget book, from the standpoint that the departments have the ability to have narratives within this digital budget book. And it talks about the different types of projects and the different things that these funds are used for, like in the park world for playground equipment and things of that nature. So there is the possibility of being able to put that information into a narrative type situation. We would have the information, I guess it's a preference. You typically do see them, you see park maintenance as a whole for the reason that Mike just explained. Is when you're overspending at one park, you're underspending at another park. So even though you've budgeted for it, you're holding back because you need to be able to offset that over expenditure in another park that you sometimes don't have the ability to avoid.
If you had an issue like that, because to me, I can understand, like for Memory Park, Mike, a lot of work is done with and outside of the city. The Rotary Club does a lot of it too. So I see that there's a bigger need there in a lot of ways because it's so manicured, whereas Homecoming Park is not quite that manicured and it's not that big and
Well, so on that note, I'll give you a good example of that. Nail on the head. So right now, I'm having to tell Rotary no. When they call me and ask me to buy them pine straw or to buy them this, I have to tell them I'm already over budget on that line item. So I can't just continue to spend on purpose. I mean, things come up, things happen. We have if a pump goes out, we have to fix the pump.
Right.
But expenditures like that, I have to tell them no, but I'll try to do better next year. I'll try to get some more money. So that would help with that if I had the full.
So you would take it from Homecoming and give it to Memory, is what you're saying? The
Well,
money.
I'm not doing that right now. Like, I'm not taking money from Homecoming.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
Just saying
But I'm saying if you don't show it as a line item, that's what you would be doing.
So the way I'm thinking about it is more that there's greater needs at different parks. Homecoming just does not have the need.
Well, then don't put 20,000 in each one of them.
Well, that's what I've always been told
Move
to do.
20 to something else and make Homecoming less.
I'm fine with that, but council has always given the wish that they didn't want to see Homecoming less than what Cedar
the
Point
others
was.
are. And I can understand that because someone would say, well, why would you have so much? But I understand all the issues, but if it was one and then at maybe the end of the year, quarterly or whatever, you can show in some kind of budget, this is how much we spent in each park, but it was all out of one budget.
I'm okay doing it whatever way y'all want it. Doing it as one line item frees up my ability to, if something happens at a park, it frees up my ability to say, yes, let's go ahead and do that, instead of just doing it artificially by overspending here and then underspending here.
So really what you're doing is that you're just addressing the need of each park.
Absolutely.
Mike, I've been called by Rotary to Memory Park. I know they're asking for more and more. And I do think that that line item amount should go up so we can partner. They
spend a lot of time there.
Yes.
Trust me, I don't like telling them no.
I know. And they're looking for help. And so I had talked to them about maybe talking to MEDC because it is an attraction. People come into the city and maybe MEDC setting aside some funds for them. But I agree, like all 4 of these parks, Fernland has a different need than Cedar Break, and Cedar Break has a different need than Homecoming, and then none of them have the same needs, right? So, Carol, I totally get what you say about not putting it in a bucket and identifying it, but I also see up in the bucket and then.
And somehow
Well, it's
being
still
able to.
identifiable. Don't-
It's still identifiable, for
It's
sure.
still identifiable, by a park, just doing it in one line item just frees up.
Just so you can spend what you need to
Yes.
spend and however, instead of having to
Yeah.
go to this
I
account,
don't
pull
want
it
to
out of
speak for what
here.
Mary Ann's able to do or not able to do, but on the MEDC budget with the events, we'll reference that, there's one line item for events, but then it's broken down
Internally.
I don't know the terminology, but there's a way to break it down and see each
Yeah.
event.
It's just a line item and then there's information, there's supporting information behind that line item.
Correct.
And also, like for Homecoming Park, they don't have the same support that Memory Park has through the Rotary Club versus the fact that Cedar Break Park is busy every day.
All the
Yes,
time.
it is.
Every day. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
we
think we
appreciate
should
what we'd
combine.
also like to.
I think they should just
God
combine.
bless and combine them.
Yeah,
into-
I mean, I'm
into
fine
one.
with that. I'm fine with that and up in the amount too.
So, Sarah, what is the Rotary Club saying?
They need some more financial assistance because they're not collecting as much there, and they're needing straw, they're needing just maintenance and help, and because it is
It is almost
a
500.
destination for our city, and it's something that we get the benefit of, but we don't take the brunt of the cost, they do. And being a civic organization, they don't have.
And it is about $500 per day when they are totally busy and getting things done there.
Right, and so they do need some help, and I know you hate saying no, and they hate hearing no, and then they come to me, and I'm like, I can't do anything, because Mike said no, and so I do think that we as a city should fund that park
I agree.
more significantly more than what we are today. Like the flags and stuff?
Yes.
Garden Club, we went over there, we did do $250 for that day.
Yeah.
So, but having the flags out, I think is a very visual thing for a lot of visitors and stuff. It's very special.
Well, knowing that there's over 100,000 visitors to that library every year, and that park is right next to it, you can, if you capture even 60%.
This is the first year that I really had to tell them no on stuff.
But it's being used more, and they're adding more features and functions that need to have attention, so, and personally, I think 50,000 should be there. Fernland, 50,000 wouldn't touch Fernland with all the problems that we have there. But Cedar Break, I don't think would need 50, I don't think Homecoming would. I think the 20 and 20 is fine for both of those.
Oh, okay, what
Are you
about-
bumping up against being out of money for Cedar Break?
Yes.
Really?
I was fixing to say Cedar Break is just so busy every
It is.
day.
Well, y'all authorized some repairs over there.
Yeah, but, so let me ask you this, when we have a storm and trees go down, does that come out to remediate those trees? Does that come out of this fund?
So it depends on, if we do it ourselves, then you don't see anything coming out of this, because it's just wages.
Okay.
Now, what we have over there right now, what I have on my desk is, I'm gonna have to bring it back probably at the next meeting, is a proposal to cut 39 dead cedar trees.
I was fixing to say, there is 3 huge cedar trees right on
There's
Houston.
39 of them.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
count every
No, I
one.
never would have dreamed there were that many until we had.
But here's the bad thing about it. We're cutting the cedar trees down, and then what are we gonna call it?
We're gonna rename it. We're gonna have to.
Because there ain't gonna be no cedar trees in there.
Well, but we also need to do a tree replenishment too, so, yeah. I mean, and I think that
Part of the line further down.
Memory Park and Cedar Lake Park are by far our 2 most used parks.
Yeah, I told you, Mike.
By far. So they think they should not, I think they should have a bigger budget associated with them than what Fernland and Homecoming Park has.
Not disagreeing at all.
Okay.
But Mike, I did tell you that I contacted someone about replacing a tree because I thought maybe the garden club could do it. Don't think we can do it.
They're not cheap, are they?
Not a cedar tree, no, in a $100 container, no.
Well, I think we should tell Mike to combine them and increase it to 100,000.
Good with that.
Mike says,
That's what
okay.
I was at a couple of years ago, was 100, between all 4.
Yeah,
I think we should
everybody
even go higher than that personally, but just to, like, I was thinking like 120, because you never know, and that, you don't have to use it all, but you have the ability to, and so if they need extra pine straw, or they need something, or another pump goes out, that pump, I mean, you have it, you don't have to hold off.
Besides, make you look good if you're under budget next year.
Right.
I'll tell y'all that if you elected to go to 100 between the 4, I think that's plenty. I think we're okay. Not gonna let you go however high you want, I'm just saying, I'm asking for 80, but 3 years ago, we were at 100 between, and it took me several years to get it to that point.
And so now things are so much cheaper than they were 3 years
Well, but
ago.
I mean, well, I don't know if you know this, but we're in a hyper-growth mode, and there's a lot of people, new people coming, and that's just more wear and tear on it. So I would even say go higher, but Carol, you want to,
No,
you want to lay them out individually?
I want them individual.
All right, Stan,
Yes,
you want 1 bucket or 4 buckets?
well, I agree with our finance director that we can have a subtitle underneath the bucket and let us know where the money's going.
Are you okay with 100 grand, 120 grand, whatever?
Yes,
Carol, you okay with bumping it up?
Yes, ma'am.
Which number y'all want to bump it up to?
1.
100.
1,000?
Yeah, I'm okay with combining them.
I would like to know how much was actually allocated to each park at certain times of the year, though.
We can get
But
that monthly
you
report.
can almost, if you're actually driving around Montgomery, you can actually tell if a park is not being maintained, because Homecoming always looks good, I
It
think.
does.
And I was just over there yesterday.
Good deal. Anything else on page 1? The only thing that's gone up a little bit is vehicle and equipment maintenance, that's just.
Do we anticipate mowing staying that way? I mean, I know you tell him with potential, with Pepper no longer being on our payroll and potentially 213 Prairie. I know we pay as he does, but you're comfortable with 140, it should come down. Okay.
Yeah, we're a little over that anyway.
Okay.
And then we'll have a mowing contract is up next March, so we'll be.
Have we got to bid?
Go out to bid on that. All right. Page 2. Nothing's really going up, community, except community center utilities, just a little bit. Utilities at Memory Park, which that's only a water bill, is all that is. We're using more water over there. Safety equipment, took it up just a few dollars, that's just to accommodate for a new building we did. I didn't hear any grunts and groans on that, was there? I know we're making no action, but just so we know how to proceed.
I think move forward.
Is this total here? No, we don't have a total of what a new person would cost.
That is not in the wages yet.
Right,
And that would
right.
be
So I'm not answering your question,
On whether you're good with it?
whether I'm good with it or
I
not.
need to see the finance.
I want to see the breakdown of what, is that person a $10 person? Is that person a $50 person? I don't
That
know.
person is an entry,
See.
an entry level is a $22 an hour person. If that helps. And that's actually that's actually what we started our last crew leader at. And that's actually what the salary survey came back with recommending. Now, that's minimal, that's minimum starting.
Crew leader, is that somebody you hire within, like internally?
All possible.
Okay.
Definitely believe in promoting from within.
Yeah, okay.
But you're asking for 3 full crews, right?
3 full crews. We have 2.5 right now.
Yeah, we don't want that.
You don't want that?
No, I don't, I want 3 full
Oh, you
crews.
want 3 full crews? Okay, gotcha. And then tools, took tools up just $2, $300. So page 3. Insurance liability, definitely not able to speak on that one.
Park improvements on page 63, line item 63?
So chief will save me some money, so this.
I know, so you just had to spend it. I see that.
So, yeah, so this is capital outlay. It's time to do something with the parks, with some equipment. Get some stuff replaced and updated. We've been talking with Lone Star Recreation, which is the rep for landscape structures, which is the stuff that we currently have in Cedar Break, which is good quality equipment. Trying to get a ballpark of what we're looking at. He's supposed to come out and meet with us next week on site. I'll be honest and say that 200,000 is just a good rough estimate of what we're hoping to. We can't revamp all of Cedar Break with 200,000. We know that. But what we think we can do is we can do a really good job of revamping Homecoming Park with 200,000 and try to get some more traffic to that park.
Get some more what?
Some
Traffic.
more traffic to that park. So that's where we want to start. We want to start with 200,000 and concentrate on Homecoming. We will dedicate a little bit of this to memory, as we always do, for whatever project they may, Rotary may want to improve on next year, or put in. So I know that's a huge jump. I figured I'd ask for it and see where y'all stand on it. I feel with the growth, it's time we start putting some money into the parks.
What are you planning on doing for Homecoming Park?
I don't have a definite plan. I want someone to come out and tell us what we could do with the parks.
I think there's a lot of people don't even know it's there.
I agree.
Is there room for a splash pad on that property?
Oh,
I
boy.
don't know, we want splash pads. As we talked about that before, they're
No,
expensive
no,
and hard to maintain.
Liability goes
Yeah,
up, too.
they're
Yeah.
a nightmare. They're.
The water is
they sound
liquid
so
gold
good in
right now.
theory, and they're a maintenance nightmare and a money pit.
That's kind of like the fountain in Cedar Break Park.
Yeah. One of these days, we'll be big enough to have our own aquatic center. We'll be big enough for it. That's what-
Probably in the
that's
next
on
few
my-
years.
That's on my long-term wish list.
You can go to the natatorium for $10,
Is this park?
$30 for a month.
Is this park?
No, there's not one.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Once you get
Of
away.
course, we don't have any wayfinding signs for any parks.
No, we do not.
Well, MEDC's slacking.
Who's that?
MEDC, their wayfinding signs, is that on their
No, they're
project?
making some progress.
Yeah,
For parks?
yes,
No, I didn't know
yes.
Parks was on
I think
there,
for all
okay.
that.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I was just making sure the parks were on there, I
Yeah,
thought it
they're
was
making
for.
progress on that. They're just trying to figure out where, I think, now.
Where to, yeah.
Yeah, Homecoming's it's a small park, but there's potential.
Yeah,
There's
for
enough
sure.
space.
It
There's
is.
a whole area with a volleyball court that nobody plays volleyball at. We don't keep the net up anymore because it just gets pulled down.
Yeah.
There's enough room to do some stuff
But
there.
nobody's missed it,
Nobody's missing.
yeah. So that we can repurpose that area.
We got money coming to do MLK, that's good.
Yeah.
That'll help.
And then the public works items, so that is So this is for new vehicles. So we're requesting to replace 2 vehicles this year, a 2015 and a 2018. So this is the lease payment, and it's also the upfitting charge. I don't have a 100% firm answer on this, but I have the rep at Dealers Supply in Willis is saying, or Napa, I'm sorry, is saying that they are just about positive that the utility bed on our 2018 can simply be transferred over to a new
that's
truck.
good.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
He said he's pretty confident, but he can't give me a definite answer until he has a VIN number from a new vehicle. But he said everybody that he's talked to on his end, it looks like they will transfer over, so the cost on that shouldn't be that full amount. We will upfit one of them, the replacement for the 15, with toolboxes and fuel cell, but the other one will simply have the bed from the old truck removed off. And this is the big utility bed with the pipe racks that you see you guys drive around.
And that's replacing with the 2024 or 2025?
Whatever the newest
Okay.
one is, maybe even the 26 by this
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I think the ones we have now are 25s. The 2 we got this last year were 25s, so probably 26s.
Anything else for Mike? All righty. Ms. Duckett?
Okay, that's for it, nothing too. Nothing too drastic for municipal court. The judge's fee did go up because now we're paying a little bit more. We do have 2 judges that we're transitioning out. And since the court dates are gonna change, we're gonna try something new for jury trials. We're gonna maybe try those at nighttime to try to help people offset work hours, because a lot with pre-trials at nighttime, a lot more people are requesting bench trials, which requires a judge to be there. So just want to implement a little bit different, things instead of starting court in the morning time for juries to see how it's going to work out. So that's for the judge's fee. We do still have the same 2 prosecutors. For printing and office supplies, we wanted to get new printers over in the court with the copy machine, but I don't think that's going to be feasible with our contract with our current printers right now. So not sure what we're going to do with that section just yet.
So potentially that line item could change, is that what you're saying?
It can potentially change.
Why is workman's comp that much higher than normal? Did you have a claim?
No, it is not. That is the workers' comp insurance piece.
Right.
It's based on our, I would have to go back and look. I think
Yeah,
it's
nothing
coming
else
from-
went up, so,
I know, because I haven't put numbers in.
I
I think
got
this
you.
was a,
Just a placeholder.
yeah, I think this was a number that I put in looking at, this is, I don't want to tell you wrong, but I
Okay.
think this is coming from the TML calculations.
okay,
You're seeing down here in the liability and property
Right.
insurance. I think that's a part of that.
Okay.
So, because that's different than it's not an unemployment claim. It has to
Okay.
do with the coverage
right,
through TML risk.
Okay.
okay,
So theirs was off for some reason based on the calculations, and so I plugged it in there so that it throws it out there, so I look at that. So,
all right,
but that's why you don't see it on anybody else's. because
Right.
It was
I
not,
didn't-
it was not out of the
no,
ballpark.
But Carol-
Theirs was off.
I did see on TDI, on their website, workers' comp asked for an increase this year with them, so maybe that could be it too.
yeah,
The backup general consulting fees, that's gonna be for my interpreter, because when you pay a physical person to come out, I think the last invoice was like $500, and she was here for like 20 minutes. So now I'm gonna get like an actual company that can do like voice interpretations just on the phone and not have a physical person here, so that's approved. It's just a lot cheaper, because when people come to court for jury trial or bench trials, things seem to change once they get in the actual
think that's money well spent. So that's paying a service then? Is that $1,000?
Yes, it's more
Okay.
like
Like on-call
phone
service?
call
Yeah,
kind of thing
okay.
that goes in. That'll help
Okay.
translate.
Yeah, I've been to Commissioner's Court a couple times where they were talking about, that's an expensive endeavor, and,
Yes.
yeah, the county pays a boatload, and they were trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, we
how to-
have someone that's bilingual, we have to,
Yeah.
the court has to be willing to interpret.
Yeah, okay. And they have to request it prior to coming to court?
Yes. Printing and office supplies, our letter folder broke, so I've been using Thomas Printing to fold my letters when we send out mass orders for letters. So we're just trying to toggle between if we're going to rent a letter folder or actually purchase one, or if we're gonna wait until we make the move, because it is kind of big, and we don't have the space for it since I'm full of boxes on my side.
So rent it until we move?
I'm not really
Or
sure
pay for the
about
service?
renting, but I think it's kind of like, I'm not sure it's gonna be feasible to rent.
Oh.
So we're just kind of, right now, I'm just gonna continue to pay Thomas.
Or pay the service, okay.
Yeah, just for them to print. I go and pick them up, it's pretty easy. I don't think there's anything else that's just,
What is your uniforms and safety equipment? Went up 200%?
$200 is the last line
22?
What's
What is that?
$100 to $300.
Yeah.
that's because not everyone has our city logo shirts. I think mine right now says the court education system. So I think I'm gonna get my new clerk just some more shirts, and we have the city logos put on them. Christy and I just kind of buy ours ourselves, but we're gonna just ask that maybe we can get new uniforms. We literally wear our city of Montgomery shirts every day or something that implements the court.
It's $300, so
It's a nice color shirt.
thank y'all.
I think that's about it. Do you guys have any other questions for the board?
Crime insurance? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, water and sewer fund.
All right, well, let's see, wages will have half of the, if we get the crew leader position, it'll have half of the crew leader position.
Half of the who position?
Crew leader.
Oh, crew leader.
Crew leader, yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
So engineering?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Y'all are getting expensive, Catherine.
That's a guesstimate that I plugged in there based on current trend and not knowing kind of everything that's happening. Right, so it's hard for me to have a number ready for you tonight. I want to sit down with the new city administrator when he starts next week, since so much of what we do is how much do you want us to do, basically. And I think it's no secret that there is a ton going on in the city. And with the recent personnel transitions, we've taken on a little bit more which we don't mind, but to help keep things running. So when the new city administrator comes in, we would like to have a good sit-down conversation with him about what do you expect of us and what does that look like from a budgeting standpoint. He said, if we want to, right now we meet with staff every other Friday. If he says, we want to meet every Friday, that's going to change the amount. Or if he says we don't need to do those at all, that's going to change the amount. So I don't have a number for you today, and because I want to have a meeting with them first to kind of redefine our scope of services for the city. Again, it's no secret there's a lot going on. And we're always looking for ways on our end to be more efficient for you guys, but I recognize that costs are going up.
So-
It's not a total shot in the dark, because if you look at the FY23 actuals was almost 174,000.
Yeah.
FY24 actuals was 200 34,000. So it was not just I'll just plug this in. What number did you put in? 200,000.
So tell me this, because when I looked at what y'all did for us last year, there were 2 commas. So y'all did like $2.2 million with us. So how is this only 200,000? I know we pay y'all a lot more than that.
So some of those costs it's different buckets. So the number that you're talking about with 2 commas is all the buckets put together. So that's all the developments, which is a lot. So anything development related gets billed to escrow accounts. That's the capital projects. It's anything that's grant funded where the money that the engineering fees don't come out of the water and sewer fund or the general fund, they would come out of the grant fund or something like that. So what you see coming out of the water and sewer fund and the general fund are typically just our day-to-day operations, the keeping things running, keeping your standards up, all the pre-development meetings that we've had an outstanding number of pre-development meetings, developers wanting to come to the city and they want to learn more, so we have a meeting with them. With these uptick in activity, that's, more things that we keep up with to help keep y'all running smoothly. So what you see in the Fund 100 and 300, that's what that is.
Okay.
If it's project related, sometimes it'll come out of those funds, but usually it's a separate line item that you'll see. For example, engineering fees, College Street drainage. It would be a separate line item for those projects. And so that usually comes up whenever we have the capital improvements conversation, which I know we've had recently as well.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this gingerly. I agree, y'all are taking on a lot more work than what you did prior to November 14th, but we're also working in a much more effective and efficient manner, and I'm not being called by people all the time. I think we're doing it the right way. And I understand that comes with the cost, but is that kind of the direction of the conversation of we're doing things now the right way?
So a lot is.
So we're going to go up in price? I mean, I'm trying to understand, because we should have been doing it, I'm just going to say, we should have been doing it the right way the whole time.
Right,
Yeah.
and so there's some things that we're doing now that, kind of in retrospect, we should have been doing all along. And there are some things that we've taken on to kind of help bridge the gap as the city's been looking for an administrator and kind of working through since November. Are there things that we should have been doing all along? Absolutely. But whenever we have that sit down, I don't want it to be just here it all is and here's the cost, take it. That's not my intention. I want it to be a true conversation of, okay, here's what we do. What would you like us to not do? What would you like us to do? That way it's something that fits both what the city needs and a budget that the city can handle.
Now, how would he know if he hasn't been here? I mean, is that going to be a conversation with Chief in there and Tilly in there and others that have been here?
I think it would have to.
Okay,
Just to
okay,
have
just
an
making
intimate
sure.
Conversation, yeah, absolutely, but just with all staff who's familiar with what's going on in the city, with what we do, to help fill him in and then go with.
Because I can certainly say, just in the change in the last 6 months, doing what we should do and should have been doing is what is happening now. And I don't want that to be disturbed. And I don't think anybody else in this building wants that to be disturbed either, and especially our taxpayers, because things are running in a completely different direction, which is for the better. And that is, for that, we're all thankful. But at the same time, I guess you can tell PTSD. I don't want things to drastically change because he's coming in and he doesn't know us well at all. And to change and potentially go backwards to how we have been operating the last 5 years is not, well, it just is not an option.
No, absolutely, and I don't
Okay.
want that. I don't want that either for the city. I certainly don't want to go backwards on all the progress
Yeah.
that we've made,
Okay.
the systems that have been put into place. So I truly think it'll be a good conversation.
Okay.
Here's what we do to still work for you.
I just want any drastic changes because I think we've set the train on the right track, and to deviate from that, I don't want to do that. Okay.
Yeah. So once we have that conversation, we can button up a better cost for you guys.
I think I need to get unmad. Sorry, go ahead. I was curious about that engineering piece.
Repair and maintenance were taken up a little bit just with the growth of the water and sewer system. Operator, same thing, adding a few lift stations, new lift stations going on. basic operator fee is gonna go up with it. Usual equipment maintenance, same thing, utility project, preventative maintenance, same thing, growth of the system, those stations means more, PMs have to happen. That's it, first page. Any questions? Pretty cut and dry.
I like the last line, that's one.
Say
The
it
last
again.
line, it has 4%, that's what I like.
Gas generators?
Gas for generators, yeah, that's natural gas for the generators that use natural gas. Testing, that's, testing on the, any water or sewer testing, bringing that up a little bit with growth. Sludge hauling, we're keeping it the same, it's definitely trended way down with a new operator, but I don't want to take it too low. This is as of April, but I know we've ran at least one more sludge haul since then, so that number will come up. Definitely don't need to take it up. Tap fees and inspections. With growth of the city, taking that number up a little bit more closer to what we're expecting to see. Taking chemicals up, that's with more water being pumped, more sewer being processed, just takes more chemicals to run it. And see anything else on that page that stands out to me?
What is the crime insurance? I saw it somewhere else too. What
Crime
is
insurance
that?
on
That's
Kimberly's.
a coverage that is specific to the public works, the water sewer, and court. It's a coverage, again, through TML risk. It
Like-
isn't,
2 years ago, TML broke the crime coverage out of the normal liabilities and insurance and made it a standalone policy, and the city opted to enroll in that separate policy, and that's what that is.
What does it cover?
Cybersecurity, it covers like any, kind of like a bond in some ways.
So if somebody's gonna breach our systems and in public works to get into our water system or into the court system, that we would be able to use that insurance policy to be able to fight
That's my understanding.
the bad guys? Okay. That's not a whole lot of money to be able, I mean,
it is not.
I hope
It is
that
not.
the dollars spent does not equal the efforts made.
I will also note on line 28 regarding that, as you know, our rate is set to change August 1st. I have reached out to Tiana. We're hoping to have a calculation in the next couple of weeks, so we can plug in a new number.
Are we looking at having any new residentials come on board with us, with all this development?
Yes.
That needs to be considered?
Yes, that'll be considered, that'll be put into the calculation, but I can't do it until I get a rate.
Operating permits and license, taking that up just a little bit, we're already over for the year, this year. And then the 92%, that's the other half of the trucks, the lease payment and the upfitting for the 2 replacement trucks. So it's just a matching line item to the one in public works fund.
If you don't have any questions for Mike, I was going to talk with you a little bit about that transfer to debt service. As you see, it is a reduction. We have a couple of issuances that we discussed when James was here, talking about the self-supporting debt versus the debt that is tax supported. And in this current fiscal year, the general obligation refunding bond from 2015 was paid in full. So that was a portion that was tax supported and is falling off of our schedule. And I'm proposing that we take a portion of that certificate of obligation that was issued in 2024 and replace, we would put 39% of that, which is just slightly over $100,000, onto the tax supported side. The reason for doing that is to maintain the debt service tax rate, because when you have an issuance that drops off, your need for your INS rate is also going to drop. And in our planning stage for looking forward at potential debt issuance that we may encounter over the next year, I would hate to not have accounted for future debt needs by that debt issuance dropping off. So I've talked with James, I've talked with Alan, and there is no problem for us to do that with that particular issuance. And at the time that if we were to issue further debt, we would be able to then move this back over to fully supported if we so chose to do so for the calculation in the INS rate. So it's just replacing what fell off, but it does provide some relief in the water sewer fund for this next year by taking off a portion of that. So it's $102,000. So that's what is accounting for that reduction.
When do you want to do this?
It just becomes a part of the calculation. So what happens is we have to give the tax office what our projection is for our debt service needs that are tax supported. So when we fill out that information, we will provide that amount to the tax office. Those calculations, or that information has to be to them by the end of June. That calculation will take place the end of July, beginning of August. So we would know what those numbers look like at that point. But don't know before that.
Crystal ball does not work.
Right?
I have to say, I was not excited about this format when I looked at it, but I think that did a good job. So
I said it was not going to be fancy.
it was not, well, I'm just not
The system is what's
typical.
fancy for us.
Yeah, right, which is better for us.
So, that's right, and I think, you know, if we can just get through this, I think we'll all be very excited about what comes out in the end for our actual budget and being able to have that public-facing piece for your constituents.
It's easy to follow.
It's gonna blow our hair back, isn't it?
I think it is.
I like
We're
it.
going to get the other side of the coin.
What's that?
We're going to get the other side of the coin.
I think it'll be
Here
great.
comes that.
Well, okay. Great job. So the only, based on my notes, just a few tweaks and a couple few unknowns, and I don't think we're tweaking really anything in the negative, but just the unknowns. And moving forward is pretty much what was presented. I still have any objections other than the parks, Carol?
No.
Cool. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a
Second.
motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay? Are you and I?
Aye.
Okay.
We have the next date.
What? 7:43.
The land where that gas station is going to go, is it LaFavor's still over there? Or does it still?
Hey, Catherine,